Today we're going to talk about how to enable IT to reduce application maintenance and development costs 30 to 50% through quality assurance. Our objective is to provide helpful insights with a series of 15 to 20-minute webinars and podcasts. And this is the first webinar in a series of 6 webinars for reducing application TCO 30 to 50% and reducing your development cycles by 20%. Recent TV commercial, if we've all been watching TV here lately, has this pie chart asking about people who want more money. How many people want more money? And about 99 or 99.9% of the people do want more money, and then there's about 1/10 of 1% who do not want more money. And if somebody was to ask you the question, would you want more money? Of course, you'd be in the yes group. But if we take a look at what's happening in our industry today, the current state of software development, if you ask this same question to companies that want more money through being able to create more efficient processes, you'd get this answer right here. You'd get about 85% of the companies out there who don't seriously want more money, and only about 15% of the companies who do seriously want more money. So how do we fix that? What's the problem here? Well, in order to fix that, you need to execute these 6 activities very well. And this is defect prevention and defect detection and removal. You need to have SQA teams, you need to have inspections, and you need to have static analysis on the prevention side. You need to have formal testing, you need to have inspections, and you need to have static analysis on the defect removal side, detection and removal side. Companies who do this, if you look at SQA teams, less than 15% of the companies actually employ SQA teams in their defect prevention. If you look down here in detection and removal, over 90% of the companies employ formal testing methods in their software testing methodologies and in their projects. So I need to do a little setup through some insights that I think are going to be very poignant for us and are going to help us to see what some of the challenges are that we've got here in the 21st century in software testing. But in order to do that, we've got to go back to the 1940s or the 1950s. W. Edwards Deming, one of the leading thinkers in quality assurance, and his work actually became Six Sigma back in the 1980s. Back in the 40s and 50s, Edwards Deming stated, inspections with the aim of finding the bad ones and throwing them out is too late, ineffective, and costly. So what's Edwards saying? He's saying that the 90% of us that are only doing formal testing, we're doing it late and costly. So that means if you look up there at SQA teams, 15% of us are actually doing inspections and getting ahead of the curve. 90% of us are late and costly. Jump up to the year 2011. In his latest book, The Economics of Software Quality, Capers-Jones states, and this is 70 years after Edwards Deming stated it, testing alone is too expensive and too low in defect removal efficiency to be the only method used for quality control of software applications. So what's Capers saying? Take a look at it. If we look at it, formal testing is expensive and inefficient. So what are the gurus saying? What are Edwards Deming saying, and what is Capers-Jones saying to us? And we have a stereotypical example, SDLC, Software Delivery Lifecycle. When testing is the only activity, we spend most of our time and capital, and this is important, time and capital, on late, costly, expensive, and inefficient. So if we're just doing testing, we're doing it late, costly, expensive, and inefficient. So today's webinar and podcast topic is going to be software quality assurance teams. This is webinar 1 of 6. We'll have 6 more in the future, and those will all be in the year 2012. So what are we talking about here with software quality assurance teams? They provide management with an appropriate visibility into the process being used by the software project and of the software products being designed and built. SQA teams measure and ensure the quality of software products prior to release. SQA teams, and this is probably the most important, provides independent visibility into project and product health to executive management and helps mitigate risk. So SQA teams, they should report to an executive, somebody like a CIO, a CTO, a VP. It's a separate group from testing, separate from development, and separate from the project management organizations. And you can see we've got a sample org chart here with SQA teams kind of out to the side reporting independently to the executive. This type of reporting structure ensures that the SQA team can't be pressured, threatened, or coerced into providing favorable reviews. Now, this is very important for this org structure because I can look back into my own history here, and I recall being called into my boss's office one time, and quality assurance was reporting to the development organization, and my boss called me and said, "Randy, your job is in jeopardy." And I looked at him and I thought, "Matt, what am I doing wrong here? Am I not finding defects? Am I doing my job wrong?" And I'm thinking that to myself, and he continued his sentence, and he says, "You know what, you're finding way too many defects, and that is making the development organization look bad, so I need you to stop finding defects." And so with that little bit of coercion right there, that basically said that I can't do my job in the quality assurance role or I'm going to lose my job. And that's why it's important for the SQA teams to be independent of development, quality assurance, and development and PMO so that you can't be pressured into providing favorable results. SQA teams need the litigation history, these independent eyes. If you take a look at the litigation history behind failed projects, and this would typically be a very large client that hires a contracting firm to come in and build software, test software, deploy software, and the SLAs weren't met. The software itself was not built to spec, and it caused a lot of problems. So they get into litigation between the client and the vendors who built the software. What you find in litigation, the actual court cases, is that project management is the primary source of concealed problems. And that kind of maps up with what we were talking about on the previous slide. And you'd know that if you're at the executive level and you've ever been surprised by something of significance. You'd know that if you've received inconsistent information. And you would know that if you've been told everything is okay, only to find out later that it was not. I think we've all probably been through these types of scenarios, especially this last bullet point, where the whole project is nice and rosy and everything's perfect right up until the delivery date, and then we find out we can't meet delivery for a whole variety of reasons because things were being concealed from us. So what does SQA mean? Right? In order to make these things work, we have to have a commitment which gets us success. They need to be well-funded and well-supported. So if you're going to reorg, you can put SQA teams in your organization and restructure your organization. Your SQA staff needs to be equal to 5% of the testing and development organization. What this means is if you've got 500 people in development and testing combined, 25 of those, 5%, need to be on the SQA staff. SQA staff needs to have the authority to stop products from being delivered to end users, needs to have the authority to stop product from being shipped to fulfillment, and it needs to be able to stop product or internal software from being promoted to production. Now, I know we've all probably been through this also, where developers are working so hard to get the software done by a certain date that they pre-promote or pre-position code into production without anybody overseeing it, and as soon as you go live with this pre-positioned code, it just crashes and burns. Well, with an SQA team, you would have prevented that because the SQA folks would have caught that as a process and a procedural problem and reported that back up the management chain and wouldn't allow it to be promoted to production. They've got to be able to stop things from getting to production. If you're going to have token groups, like if you're going to have SQA teams, say I've got SQA teams, got to check the box, and you've got 1 or 2 staff for an IT department of 500, it's going to have a negligible effect on quality. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to go the other way. It's probably going to have a detrimental effect on quality because you're going to have low morale in your SQA group, and that's going to translate over to low morale in your development organization and low morale in your quality assurance and testing organizations. So token groups just kind of create problems for you that you